We'll go ahead and call the Livingston Municipal Planning Commission meeting to order tonight. I'd like to welcome each one here tonight. Okay, starting right off. Item number 2, approval of the July the 26th, 2021 minutes. I need a motion that to be approved as printed.
So moved.
Matilda, I need a second, please.
Second.
Okay, second, Ricky Mack. All for, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. There is none. Thank you. Item 3, consideration of final site plan for property located on 415 East University Street, Dixon, site plan.
They have not made,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and just for the record, it is East Main Street on number 4. Yes, and so what we have is we have a request from William Clark, who is here with us tonight, to rezone 2 parcels of property located on East Main Street. They are not, they don't have an address because they don't have any structures on them. And they want to rezone the property from C3 general commercial, and then the back half of that property is R1 low density residential to R2 high density residential. And the initial plan for that is to establish a townhome development, so it would be multifamily. Mr. Clark is here, Cody Campbell is here, who has the plans for that development.
And exactly where on East Main Street is it?
So it is across, essentially, from the Overton Motel. There's vacant property there that is on the, I guess that would be the west side of. It is yeah, like I said, it's the Clark property, and then yeah, Cody has shown one of the parcels there. Yeah, and if you had another one, Cody, we do have some adjoining property owners that might like to see that, if you don't mind.
So real quick, me and Mr. Clark, we've got this under contract currently with a contingency based on rezoning, because basically what it's zoned for now is, like you said, the C3 to R1. We kind of went back and forth. I spoke with Christian. My initial project was going to be storage, and I started thinking what's the best project, or what can really benefit the town a lot more, and I think more houses. I think we have a real big need for that, and I think this type of project would be great there. So that first is, of course, nothing is based in stone, because I have to wait until this is rezoned to really see what we can put on this. But this is really what we're looking at doing. Our townhomes like this, the Craftsman style, and that's kind of just the picture of the ones I really like there. These are about 1,300 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, comes with a garage. And then it kind of shows the main floor, the second floor, and then an actual picture of what I'd like it to look like with the street, the sidewalks, the driveways, the garages, things like that. Again, this isn't the actual plan because we can't move forward until we see if we can get this rezoned. Now, if you go to the larger paper there, that's just kind of a hand sketched what we're looking for. Coming off of Main Street, we would have a road there that would have sidewalks. Of course, we'd have lights. There'd be an HOA that does this, and we're looking at anywhere from 20 plus or minus, depending on what we can do based on the slope and the topographical layout of the land. Putting about 20 plus or minus units there. We're going to have a green space there at the end. Again, it's going to have more of a subdivision feel to it, like a neighborhood. You'll pull in, there'll be some parking spots, several different banks of units there. I think 4 or 5, again, depending on what we can put there. I think this would benefit the town quite well. I've seen a huge influx with out-of-towners coming in, and there's just no place to buy and or rent. And I think this would increase the value of that property as well, which would also be a benefit to the town. What you see on the larger map, that would be more of a for sale. We would sell those. And then, of course, the adjacent property that comes with that is on Main Street and Hillcrest there. I'd probably put some smaller ones there that would potentially be rentals. Or we may continue these. Again, it all depends on what we can kind of get out there. But this plan right here that you're looking at would be to sell.
So you would subdivide them into individual units?
They would be a 0 lot line, subdivision type place.
You also need BZA approval.
Yes.
For that as well.
Is that correct? Yes.
For 0 lot line, yes.
Yes. Yes. It extends behind Save-A-Lot. It's right next to the Comcast cable building.
The lot in between there?
The lot is right next to it and runs behind Save-A-Lot and Dollar General.
It's not in between it, Philip. It's, if you're looking at Comcast, it's to the right and running along. And then coming in behind the Save-A-Lot property.
Okay, behind it.
And the street that would run back through there, is that going to be a public street, or is that going to be maintained by the homeowners association?
It would probably be something maintained by the homeowners association. Again, I haven't gotten too far in depth with that. I'm just trying to take the first steps just to kind of be able to start those conversations.
Okay, so the building will actually not be facing the street. It will be parallel.
Say this again?
It will not be facing the street. This will not face the street.
No, it will actually run.
Face the street.
Yeah, just that one side would face East Main Street. The opening of that lot is about 150 feet, somewhere in there, plus or minus. But yeah, the side of that first unit would be facing the street. If you were coming from Byrdstown into town, you would see the entire row, the entire faces of this from Main Street.
So they'd actually be headed east to west when they were built. Is that correct? East to west,
Yes.
east to west.
Cody, our regulations require 20,000 square feet per first 4 units, and so by that math, if you're doing 20, you would need, I'm trying to see, so after the first 4, 2,000 square feet, so essentially that would be approximately an acre of property. How big is that lot there?
Bill, do you remember how big this lot is?
4.5 acres.
All of it
Okay.
is 4.5 acres. This is the first part of it. I think this one's about 1.5, I think. And then the other lot that adjoins it's around 3.
Is it 75 feet wide?
The lot, yes.
Okay.
It's 150, I think, or 160. And again, my initial project was gonna be more storage. I think there's a need for that, but I think the town could benefit a lot more from more housing. Bringing more people to the town.
Are you going to have the rentals and the ones that can purchase one to own one all there together?
Nope, this one street would be all to sell.
So essentially, the rentals would be a second phase.
The rentals would be more on the Hillcrest and the Hillcrest Main Street side. And that on the vertical one, that's what the rentals would look like. They're smaller because I wouldn't want larger units there. Those are 2-bedroom, 2-bath. That's where those rentals would be. So that whole lot kind of V's down into a gulch. So they'd be separated by that. You'd have the ones that I'd like to sell, the townhomes, they would be by themselves on this one lot. And the lot that adjoins it also that we're talking about, that would be more on the rental side. There's a duplex there now on the corner, there on Hillcrest, kind of across from the church.
What is the residential area? I believe that area is residential.
Yes, the lots right now are, because they touch Main Street, half of each of these lots are are they 3?
C3.
They're C3 now.
The one on Hillcrest?
Yes, there's C3. There's a C3 portion of that Hillcrest lot, and it backs into R1. Our initial discussion was to go ahead and make it all C3 and then appeal to multifamily to be able to do this. He thought that the best route would be to just do the R2. And that's why we went that route, which means no storage would be able to be built on there. If this was passed, I would be locked into doing the homes.
I don't know if there's like down there, but I think there is one. I mean, I want to go on that street out there now. I don't remember a duplex being there.
It's a little white duplex. I think the Crowders are revamping that, and they've done a really nice job with that as well.
It's the first one on the left when you turn right there. It sort of looks like just a home, but it's always been a duplex. It has 2 meters on it.
It's above the church?
Yeah, it's right there. When you turn left on Hillcrest, it's that white one right there on the left. You go by that open lot, and then you come to that house. It's below, before you turn it on the first road, turn it on South Hillcrest.
Cody, how does the lay of the land in there, how does it, as far as drainage and all?
Well, again, on this lot is relatively flat, and then it starts to go down. And again, I would leave that when it V's down, I'm going to leave it as a drain field or drain area, to where if we do put houses here and over here, they still has a natural lay of the land for it to drain as it has been now.
So there's no planned stormwater retention, maybe it's not required, but this is quite a bit of development.
Yeah,
I would think
It
so.
would be
we
looked at.
No, but when it's developed, it will.
Yes, we would move in with civil engineer or whatever engineering we would need to be able to get this done, where to put the water, where to put the drains, can we put it here, those things. But again, I can't move forward unless I know we can actually move forward in doing that.
Right, but this larger plot that you're showing us, that includes everything. It looks like it's all developed within the bounds of that particular piece of
Yes,
property.
yes, sir, it is.
And I believe this would fall under our stormwater prevention ordinance and would require a permit, because this is more than a half an acre, it looks like, of dirt being moved. So it would fall under that. That wouldn't be required, though, until the site plan was officially submitted to the Planning Commission for review.
And again, I'm open to hear, and if this does pass, on how to make this more efficient, what we need to do. Again, this is me just putting pen to paper, measuring things out. I measure about 500 feet of linear feet through the assessment, and these are about 20 feet wide each, and that's where I came up with 25 units. You know, with the lay of the land, we're going to have some breaks in those, so that's going to be parking. So that's why it's a 20 plus or minus. We may only be able to get 12, we may be able to get 10, we might be able to get 20. It all depends on what we can do.
So this project you're thinking about doing on Hillcrest and Main, which way is this building going to be facing? Is it going to be facing Hillcrest or is it going to be facing Graystown Highway?
It would actually be facing Hillcrest. The entire row will run along the,
What size project are you talking about?
say that again?
What size project are you talking about?
If this, you're talking about like a money-wise?
No, units.
Oh, you're talking about on the Hillcrest side?
Yes.
That would be probably anywhere from 5 to 10, depending on what we could do. I think you can get about 4 or 5 units right there on Hillcrest, and if we set another building behind it with parking in between, that's a potential. I always start with maximizing the property that we have and then cutting down to size when we need to.
And on that property, the bigger section of property, you have, it's 1 acre of commercial and 1.2 acres of residential. That's the way it's classified.
So is the larger portion 2.2 acres? Is that what it
It's
is?
2.2
Okay.
acres.
So this is then, what's the acreage of the long one? Is it 2?
I had to pull it up.
Okay.
It would be right at a little over 2.2.
Okay.
So is the acreage you're talking about already zoned for this project?
So half of it is on commercial, the other half, and both of these properties are the same way, and I guess it's because of the road frontage. What I would, and the reason that we're coming at R2, and no offense to Cody, but I just didn't think we'd want to see a ton of storage units sitting on that property. If it was, and he could put some there right now. I mean, if he decided to go through it, he could cram it full of storage units. Well, if it is R2, that takes that possibility away from it. So it would just be for housing. So that would, I mean, that's still, up to the board to figure out. But I just would find it hard to believe we'd want to see all that land jam full of, storage rentals as we come into town right there.
Would your apartments be for all income levels of Overton County or just a certain level or lower income?
I don't have anything set right now. I've got other plans in the works to try to do an apartment complex somewhere here in town to allow Section 8 or lower income housing in some of those developments. This is not one of them. Because this is already a kind of a subdivision that's been there for a long time. I'm trying to keep with the houses that are the new house feel, I guess. But the lower income, no. The rentals is more on the smaller side. It'd be 5 to, like I said, 8, maybe 10 units possible. This is the larger side that we would then sell. So, no, I'm not looking at lower income right now. But I am looking at another project later on down the road. We've rehabbed Lee Drive. There across from the vocational school. We've did a real big upscale, and we tend to lower income renters there.
That other piece of property is 2.3 acres.
This long one.
2.2.
So Cody, you only show one parcel here with your plan, but according to your rezoning application, you are looking to rezone
Both of
2
those.
pieces of
Yes, sir.
property. And that is number 33, and what is the other, do
On
we have that
initial,
application here, Christian?
on initial On the initial request, I put a map of both of those in there. I don't know if you guys have that initial request. On both those requests that we had, I put a map.
25 and 33 is.
Okay.
I apologize for not having that.
Okay, so it's the parcel.
The two plots across from one another, 33, 25.
They adjoin. So basically from Hillcrest to the Comcast building or Comcast
This one,
cable,
that one.
all of it.
25, right there.
Okay, well, it's different.
There's Hillcrest right there.
Yeah.
There's the church. So it's that vacant piece right there.
I would be a whole lot happier if he had them switched around and this was gonna be the one to buy and the one over
Yeah.
there.
If you would, show Philip there.
That's it. Is it this one? This is the church.
Here on the corner. And there's that duplex. This is the Hillview coming up here. And here, and this way.
That's Hillcrest, yeah.
I messed up.
He'll have to find it back.
Highway coming down to there.
Can you get it
I
back?
believe, yes, yes.
Can you get it back?
You might want to go print a copy of that off.
See, I would be much happier if the one that was gonna be in the Hillcrest was the one that's gonna be sold, and the one that was gonna be rented was the one behind the Save Lot, since it's not residential. I said, personally, I would be happier if the property on Hillcrest was the one that was gonna be sold and not rented, and the one that was gonna be behind Save Lot was the one that was gonna be rented, because it's not in a residential area. That's just my personal opinion.
Understood. It's just the lot there on Hillcrest is you've got about 90 feet when you come with the setbacks from the main road and then from the side. You've got a very, very small section of area where you could actually put houses to sell. And so that would be a very smaller project. And then, of course, I think if you were to do rentals on this one, I don't think you've got the space. Because I think if you were to sell the houses, you don't have multiple families kind of going in one unit. You have one family per unit.
Do you have any idea what these condominiums being?
My price point for these are going to be under 200,000.
I'm sorry?
My price point, I'd like to stay under 200,000 for these.
Okay.
Now, whether lumber prices dictate that or not, that's to be seen.
Ask the question.
That's up to our chair.
Okay, we live across from the duplex,
We're to the
behind
wrong
the
place.
church.
Okay, so
So
you're
our concern is what we're gonna be looking at.
sure.
They're across from the church. And we've got a 3,000 plus square feet home there.
Yes, ma'am. So if you look here, these are the rental. This is what you would see on Hillcrest. You're just talking about the number, or
No,
No, I'm talking about once you build out the second lot and you start putting rentals on it, that's what I'll be looking at.
yeah, see, we look toward that, like, the
This-
ones on the hill sound nice.
yes, this is what you would. This is the design I would like to do there on Hillcrest.
Well, ours is, what, you were talking about apartments, where's the design of the?
They're actually townhomes that would just be rented.
Okay, but it's still be rentals, not.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's a question I would have with the board. He's asking for a rezoning with a partial plan that you submitted. That I'm seeing now, there may be something else I'm not seeing.
I brought this plan here. This is what you would see along Hillcrest. Whatever we can put in that 90 feet it would be here.
Where would they come out? On the main road, or is the traffic going to come out onto Hillcrest?
I'd like it to come off the main road, because the main road, they'd pull in behind it. They would park behind it. So I would do the sidewalk. I guess we wouldn't necessarily need a sidewalk, but I'd like to maybe do a sidewalk in front to make it look like this. To what,
There's a light pole right there
'Cause when-
Turn into Hillcrest.
Because when I want anyone who's pulling into Hillcrest just to see just these townhomes, and they just look like townhomes. And that's what they are. They're just 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhomes that are smaller, that I think more people in Livingston could afford, as opposed to trying to do a 3-2 rental.
So you're saying the rentals are gonna be like those townhomes you got depicted?
Yes, sir. This is,
Duplexes?
no, sir.
Quadplexes?
They would look just like this here. They're in your plan there. They're the vertical one. I want them all to look alike. I'm gonna keep them Craftsman style with the hardy board or something, the vinyl that looks like the hardy board with some of the shiplap, things
So
like
is
that.
this the first picture or?
This one right here.
So which way would this be facing?
This would be Hillcrest right
So this would be.
here. The duplex would be right here.
Yeah.
The duplexes. So this is the narrow lot in the context right here.
Yes.
This lot over here is.
Yes, so I would, if this is Hillcrest here, I would set this,
So how would you position that?
it would run alongside of here. So the front of that duplex would have these fronts, but they would all park in the back.
Cody,
Yes,
Cody,
sir.
ma'am, if you would, come forward here just a second. You need to be talking to these. Yeah, get over there behind that, please.
Oh, sorry about that.
I need to now state her name.
Yeah, we at least need your name for the record.
All right.
Yeah, if you
We're
would.
Lisa and Rick Reagan, and we live in the house on Hillcrest, the first one on the right behind the church.
It's 201.
201 Wayne Street, or Avenue, it goes by both. So we are concerned, obviously, about our property value. The house is over 3,000 square feet, and, we want to know what we're going to be looking at, how much traffic, where would the entrance be, because that's a blind hill when you come out to start
Yes.
with. And, I'm a little hoarse anyway, I'm sorry. So that's our main concern, since we live directly across from that, behind the church. It used to be Paul and Robbie Reagan's home. That's his parents. So that's ours. So that's our concern is, as you said, also the water, because we do have it, just like this last big rain, it comes up into Wayne Street, and of course the place down below us got lots of water. So obviously building more, we're concerned about bigger drains or something, and the amount of traffic, noise, the typical concerns. So that's why we're asking exactly what, when you're talking rentals, what would that be? What pricing are we talking about? For future for us.
My main goal, because it already is an established subdivision, is to increase the value as much as I can. And keeping rentals as townhome, these are townhomes. These would just be more on the rental side, the long-term rental side for me. Because they're going to look just like that, we're going to try to do some stonework on the outside to some degree to make the entire area increase in value is my hope. There's been several, one of their questions was where are they going to pull in? I've thought about 3 different places coming right off of East Main into the back of this. The other would be in between the duplex, the Crowder duplex, and this lot here. That drive line would be on the setback. Or another way would be there's a city easement down to a drain or a sewer.
It goes to our water pump, to the right past that duplex. Where that's at.
And that would be a potential paving that and then coming behind the Crowder lot behind these units as well.
Is that not a city-owned road?
It would be. Like I said, those are just the 3 options I've looked at. I can't,
Because when you look at the property lines on property you're like I'm sure you are.
yes.
When you look at that road, my name's Rick Reagan, by the way. When you look at that road is not owned property. That's either city or county-owned road, it's a gravel road that's for utility, I assume back to utility is what
It
it's back
is.
to.
It is.
So how would that become a main turn-in for a development that somebody's doing commercially?
Yeah, that, Cody's putting the cart a little bit before the horse on that one. That would have to be approved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to allow that to happen.
Yeah, and like I said, I just look at options. I look at what options are possible, and then I just kind of start checking them off and moving from there.
So, and as my wife stated, you know, when you come out, so our house is the one directly behind the Presbyterian Church. So when you come out off of Hillcrest or turn on to Burstown Highway, there's a blind hill coming into town up toward the Overton Motel. So now we're going to add more turn-ins off of, or more traffic off of Hillcrest, or more turn-ins off of East Main Street for more traffic to come up through there. Now, I understand the development and need for tax dollars and so forth and so on, but I don't know that high density would be the best way to go for that. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to see storage units. So we're kind of in a quandary about what we're looking at here. I mean, we have this house that we bought from bought of my parents, and you know, we got the duplex over there, and like you said, whoever owns it, I'm not sure, the Crowders, and they're redoing it, doing a nice job. The house next to us, the Miss Sales house, has just been bought, and it's being redone, and it's being done nice. So I just don't want to, we just don't want to see something come in that's kind of, you know, halfway done or going to lower our property value or whatever like that. So we're here to get information as much as anything and express concerns.
Sure. I appreciate that.
I'm not here to swear in their presentation. Do you understand the gentleman?
Yes, and Mr. Reagan is essentially saying that, you know, he's concerned about the house that he just purchased, and, you know, he doesn't want future this development to negatively affect his property value. And he's also concerned about traffic there on that hill there by South Hillcrest.
Yeah.
Man, did I capture that pretty much, Mr. Reagan?
That and the water, what would happen with the runoff?
Yeah, and the water runoff, which we would address. That is the least of my concerns with this, because we have stormwater standards in place that would require detention more than likely there. So
that's okay. So maybe at least your concerns was one of my big concerns, because the
Sure.
rain 2 weeks ago flooded so bad you couldn't drive down Wayne Street. You couldn't
All right.
cross Hillcrest where Wayne Street crosses it. It flooded the house across from us. It came halfway up into our yard, and we're on an elevated lot. And now we're talking about putting more runoff or more pavement, more building. So in our eyes, that is a concern.
sure, and we're going to get it, but engineers have not been up there and addressed that yet. We would require engineers to address this with that. So I'm not trying to diminish your concern, but I'm just saying from my perspective, the traffic would be the biggest concern for me. The water runoff, I feel like we can mitigate pretty successfully with detention and with engineering.
I'm not ready to move on this tonight.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't receive a motion, we don't have to. I mean, if there's a motion made, then we would need to act on it. But,
I mean, just looking at this. Was that?
no, he doesn't have to call for a motion.
How would the traffic, controlling the traffic would be handled with that?
Sure, and one of the things that would have to happen. One of the things that would have to happen there is he would have to get a permit from the Department of Transportation to allow, ingress egress on that property, because that is located on state route. So that's not something that the city would issue. That is something that the state of Tennessee would issue. So they will look at it and they'll determine, whether or not Mr. Campbell would be able to obtain a driveway permit there.
And a turn lane, possibly a turn lane?
I would seriously doubt that. But, I mean, because I don't think TDOT would pay to put a turn lane in there. I mean, we might ask our resident expert down on the end there.
Sometimes TDOT requires the person to install the third lane. if it needs it. And they will, you know, at some point, I don't know if it would be in this circumstance, but I have seen people want an entrance, and they require them to build the turning lane, the property owner. So, like I say, I don't know if it'd be in this instance, because that would be, the Chattanooga engineers would come and look at this one.
Yes.
Any questions from anybody on this board? I'm not really sure what we need to do right now. Any questions from anybody?
Did you say that road behind it is a city street?
Yeah, it's an easement through there, right.
And that big ditch covers up part of that easement. I owned that property in '71. Lived there for 3 years, 4. And every so often, the city would come and clean that ditch out and get rid of this water problem on Wayne Street. I don't know how it's done now. Of course, it's been a long time since I was in that part of the world. But that's a full easement for a city street right there. Part of it's covered with that ditch. So there's gonna have to be some engineering done. And I'm all for building houses. We need some more houses. I'm all for it. And I'm not trying to cause you any delay or bail either one. But I think this has been discussed many times before. Right, Bill? Okay. Let's get bring us a full drawing of everything you want to do.
Okay, I can get that done. Now, again, what I do is I maximize everything. I know that it may have to be cut back, but I'm gonna put everything that in my mind could be done there.
I think that's a good idea. I think we would rather see your concept rather than a diminished version of the concept, and then
Okay.
you add to at a later date.
Okay?
And I think access is gonna be important too. I think everyone's gonna be interested in how that might look.
Especially the street water. You know, there's a great big holler runs down through there. And that goes back to our pumping station, the city's pumping station back there in the back. And I have seen that covered with water at times.
So Cody, I know that a site plan is not required for rezoning. However, in this case, I do feel like it would greatly enhance your chances to be able to, present, prove your case to the planning commission with this regard. So
Sure.
I would, like I said, you're not required to do that, but I would strongly suggest that if you want to continue to go down the route of rezoning the properties from C3/R1 to R2, I would recommend that you comply with a full site plan for both parcels.
Okay.
With structures, with ingress, egress, and with drainage.
And you might go check with the state before you do anything.
Yeah, I would probably do that too.
Okay.
See if they would consider giving you ingress egress driveway permit off of State Route 111/East Main Street.
How do I go about with the drainage? What is it that you're wanting me to look at or put in there?
Show us where the water's gonna go, and then show us how you're going to mitigate any kind of stormwater, potential stormwater runoff.
Retention pond.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Retention and retention.
Yeah.
Now, the only way I know how to do that is get an engineer involved. Is that something we're gonna have to do? Because the property's contingent based on the rezoning.
understand.
So it's kind of like a rock and a hard place of, I can draw 100 different things here, and only once an engineer comes out, we can only do one thing. But again, am I gonna wanna spend $20,000 to get an engineer out there to draw this up and then it not be passed? I'm trying to figure out what I can do in this limbo. Is this something where I need to get an engineer out there to look at this, or is it something that if we rezone this in R2 and we simply if I was just gonna put a duplex in there, is that gonna not need?
So, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the board, so if I say something I shouldn't, let me know. It's totally up to you what you want to do.
Okay,
If you wanted to get Christian and and Mr. Peak out to maybe take a look at the drainage, if they're willing to do that. But obviously, the higher up you go, the better that the planning commission and the board of mayor and aldermen are going to feel about what you present. So if you wanted to submit a hand-drawn site plan with your calculations on where that's going to go, that's one thing. But if you wanted to submit a site plan from an engineer with, that's very well done, you could do that too, and we would probably feel better about that. So I hope I spoke accurately there.
I think if you can give us an idea of how much is going to be impervious and how much area you're going to have for retention detention, that would go a long way. Is that, everybody?
Well, Mr. Reagan, so the adjoining property owner, the owner of that property was notified of this meeting. And if the development that is caused by, if the development by Mr. Campbell causes stormwater runoff in the form of damages to that property, certainly Mr. Campbell is liable for that.
No, I understand.
Absolutely. And obviously, we're going to try to do everything we can to prevent that sort of thing, but if it's just like, if one property owner causes damage to another property owner, that property owner's liable.
Correct. Okay, just wanted to ask, thank you.
Yes, sir.
is there anything else, anybody have anything to add that might help answer questions other than what was discussed, so I can make sure I get that on our next go-around?
Cody, did you kind of understand what we were asking you to do?
I do. I know it's just kind of a rock and a hard place with this when developing, and I know we've been in quite a bit of issues with stormwater here in the town that we don't want to get in that again, and I don't want to cause any trouble or any damage to any other properties. I'm just trying to figure out if I can where I can go and how far I can go to make sure that this is beneficial for all parties.
We definitely need more housing in Livingston, that's for sure. It's just how we go about it.
Okay, any questions from any of y'all? Any questions?
No.
Okay.
I'll just say, I hope you get this worked out and it works. Everybody gets satisfied and it'll be a good deal for the city and the neighborhood and everything.
I appreciate your cooperation and
Oh, no worries. I don't know everything. I'm just kind of going based on what I've done here in town so far. And all this is new to me. I've never done any new development like this, especially on a large scale. And so, you know, I've got meetings with builders and engineers already that maybe we can walk that land and they can give me their insight to where when I come back, I've got more answers for you. When me and Mr. Clark came to an agreement on this, it was based contingent on the rezoning, and we knew we may hit some of these bumps, and we kind of knew that coming in. So I think they're both willing to work with me, and I'm willing to work with them, and back and forth here and there with you guys as well.
Any other discussion? If not, we did the motion, either table it tonight or go ahead. So,
Or motion to rezone?
Well, Cody, will it hurt you to wait? I mean, I know everything's time sensitive, but.
Not necessarily. It's one of these things of, you know, I've got several projects in queue already, and this is just one of them, but this is going to take a lot more, so it's going to take a little bit of time, you know, pushing back a month. I just know my goal for this project would be to start, of course, I'd like to start this year, but that won't happen, especially when we get in our rainy season. So we're looking March before anything can be even moved or touched. And then by that time, we're going to have everything, all engineer, all drainage, everything done by that time as well.
Well, on top of what I said too, you know, to get an entrance on that road, you'll have to have an engineer's drawing.
Sure, and that's, just knowing stuff like that may make me cut this down to a smaller size and use the property off of Hillcrest or a drive line off of Hillcrest in between that and the duplex as opposed to off the main road. Because then you're talking about two main drives off of that main road within probably 100 feet.
We want to work with you and with everyone that's involved, and so I'll make a motion table.
I'll second.
had a motion by Rick McDonald that we table this tonight. Second by Robert. All for that motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign, there is none. Motion carries. Thank you, Cody.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks so much.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, Cody, just to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline as far
Sure.
as what you're looking at. So if you come back next month and there is a recommendation to the Planning Commission, or to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, one way or the other, you're looking at first reading in October, second reading, public hearing in November. If it then gets rezoned, you will need a BZA variance for your individual for zero lot lines. So you could theoretically get that done at the end of October, because we could theoretically get it done at the end of October, and then you would need site plan approval from the Planning Commission, which could come end of November. So that's if everything goes your way.
So I'll meet with you guys next month, correct? Which would be around the 23rd, or the 4th Monday, is that, or 3rd Monday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll redo this, and then the October, November will be finalized, is that correct?
The second reading, if we if there's a recommendation made next month, would be first reading in October,
Okay.
second reading first Monday of November.
Okay.
Somewhere around in there, right, Phyllis?
Which means finalization, is that correct?
Well, that's just for that's for the rezoning,
Okay.
yes.
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 sir.
And then you would need a BZA variance, and then after the BZA variance, site plan approval by the planning commission.
So September 27th is the next.
Okay.
So if they agree to let you roll on, then you can file, we can go ahead and petition the BZA.
Okay, gotcha.
So did you say the meeting's the third Monday?
Planning commission meeting is the fourth Monday of each month. Board of Mayor and Aldermen meet the first Monday of each month. So after we're finished with it, it then goes to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen regardless, with a positive or a negative recommendation. The final say is up to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Chairman, item number 5 has been withdrawn. We were not able to complete the proposed ordinance for review, so it has been withdrawn from the agenda.
Any other business? If not, I need a motion.
I move we adjourn.
Robert? Second. AJ? All for adjournment, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Thank you all. Thank you.
Mr. Ray,
We finally got to work on something. We finally got to work on something.
Yes.